I withdrew him and I did not get contacted. Like, is that legal? I let them know though. Hi, what's up? My name is Ashley. Welcome to the Cozy Alchemist, where I talk about all things cozy that are going on in my life and just the things that I enjoy to do. So thank you for being here. Today we're going to get into what is my new journey and my son's new journey, and maybe our baby son will be joining us next year, is unschooling. So we're going to talk about the 5 must-haves of unschooling. I use that term a lot, but people are more used to hearing homeschooling, so I use it interchangeably, but we are unschooling. Like, we don't have a traditional program we're using with our oldest. So here are the 5 must-haves I'm going to share from my experience, and hopefully they will help you, since we have been doing this 6 months now of unschooling, and it has been a journey. It's been a beautiful journey. He's actually sitting over here doing his handwriting. He finished it, right? So I'm okay. Because I live in the state of Texas, I learned that every state is different with their homeschooling laws and what is required. So the first must have, because I don't want nobody going to jail. I don't want anybody telling me they had CPS coming to their house because I said something. Go look at your state requirements, the laws of withdrawing your child from school. Or if you have a young child that hasn't even entered the school system, like, if you need to do anything, look it up, educate yourself. Every state is different. I withdrew my kid and it said that someone was going to call me. No one has ever called me. So, I mean, I guess we're good. It's, you know, like, I go to the school all the time because his youngest brother is now attending the school he went to. And everything seems Gucci, so I'm assuming we're good, but please make sure you're educating yourself. And in saying that, also connect with other people who are in your state who have done it, and just kind of see what they say. There's lots of forums, there's lots of group on Facebook. So get educated, get connected. I would highly say do this as soon as you start even thinking about doing it. That way you have a plethora of time to just kind of skim through the information, so that when the time comes, you're ready to go, you're confident, you know the laws, you know what to do, you know who the letters go to, where you need to drop stuff off, and then you know where to start. My number 2 is have a designated space. Designated spaces for you to, like, get creative. So for example, for us, it is the area over here. There's a table. It's also the floor for him. One thing he does not do is he does not do school in his room. I want that to be separate for him. But we do use the balcony when it's warm outside. We also go places outside of our house that I've already designated, and we've kind of fallen into a pattern of, you know, that's where we'll go. So just make sure that you have a space where the work can happen, where the magic can happen. And that kind of helps with rhythm and flow, especially in the beginning. Do you have to keep that space forever? Absolutely not. As you get more comfortable, as you start learning things about each other and what space might be better suited for you, you might change that, and that is perfect. That is part of the process. That is unschooling or homeschooling. So just in the beginning, it was very, very beneficial to him and for me, just because so many things were new. We had one thing that was solid, and that kind of helped us in the foundation of the beginning, because I pulled him out of a structure. So I needed to give him some structure before we just went all willy-nilly. So for us, that worked. Do what works for you, but I would highly suggest having a designated, like, school, work, let's get our brain thinking area. Also, this table back here and the couch is a huge area as well for when I want to sit with him if we're doing anchor charts together, and then the computer if he's doing some online things. Number 3, I would highly suggest having a plan, because even if you have a plan, you might not do everything in the plan, but at least you have something to bounce off of. It's a trampoline to bounce off of. You never want to just be free falling and just like, I'll go along with it as you can. You can do that and you will eventually find your grounding, but I think it would be a lot less stressful, a lot less overwhelming for you and also for your child. Children need consistency and they need you to be consistent, and in order for that to happen, you need to have a jump off point. For me, I did a lot of research on like, are we doing computer-based homeschooling where he logs on to a certain curriculum and he's on that for however long, he gets it done? Am I going to be making his lessons for him? What does that look like? Do I need to buy a curriculum? What curriculum fits me and my family? I am very pro activist. I am pro allyship. I am pro knowing the true and real history of this country and learning about different cultures, getting your hands in the dirt, experiencing life, and having science, math, and everything that you would get in school. Combined with that, combined with play, combined with things that he himself enjoys, I had to research other people that's already made the map for that. If it was already out there, what it looked like for different families. I wanted something for me non-religious. Non-religious was what I wanted for me. For others, I know they might look specifically for religious curriculum. So know what you're looking for. Have an understanding of what you think might work. Use that as a jump off point. You're kidding. Don't let him get on that table. Use that as a jump off point, and then go from there. I knew that once we withdrew him, the first month we would be doing nothing but getting used to not going and having the same routine. That was my first goal. Me getting used to him being home and him being off of the routine, and him getting used to being home and him off the routine, because I know he thrives better in consistency. And to have that huge shift, seeing his brother go off to school and him staying here, I wanted to give him emotional and mental time to adjust, as well as me to start prepping and kind of getting things together. So we had an off month and a half, and that was the best thing we did, because that helped me kind of watch him, learn about him as a student than just my son who's playing, or who likes to eat this for dinner, etc., etc. So that definitely helps. So I highly suggest that. Number 4, pull in community. You are not alone. You're not a lone island. Like, this is not just for you to just sink or swim by yourself. Don't do that to yourself. There is a plethora of websites, a plethora of blogs, a plethora of Facebook groups. I found a melanin Facebook group. I will link that below. I found regular homeschooling for just general public. I found groups for even homeschooling coalitions or groups within Dallas. Unfortunately, there aren't ones that are close enough for us to even have looked at, but it was good to know that they existed. There are tons of YouTubers who talk you through everything from curriculum to the groups they go to, or Facebook groups that they are in, from like how you can get connected, all of these things. So please know there's a huge community of homeschooling, of unschooling, of homeschooling while traveling, homeschooling for single parents, homeschooling kids from kindergarten to high school. It's out there. You just got to find what works for you. Also, bring in the community of people who are your friends. I know it's so beneficial to have the community of people who are doing the exact same thing as you, but I know the friendships that I have adore my children and they treat them as their own. And so I have already set up for one of their aunties, their play aunties, their auntie, to read a book to them and have it on a Yodo player card. And if you haven't seen what a Yodo player is, there will be a video on it. But the Yodo player has a card people can record, and then they can put it in, the kids can put it in their Yodo player and listen to the story. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am going to have people read stories to them that they can pull from. And especially as they get older and stuff, it becomes nostalgic, and I want to just like keep that for them. Also, if you know you have friends that are bomb.com in certain subjects like art, or if you're getting into science and they're in computers, ask people, say, hey, you know what, one Sunday can you get together with my kids and like do this activity with them, and talk to your friend like they're your friends. You should have that communication with them and ask them how much they want to just do, and how much and what your expectations are, if you have any expectations. Maybe it's just a go and a play day and they're getting educated through play. Maybe it is that I want you to specifically talk about this part of your job or this part of that passion that you have. Teach them how to mix colors because you're the artist. Bring and pull people in. Homeschooling can become isolating if you are not able to join a coalition, if there is not a group close to you. So pull in the people who are already around you, who already support you, which are friends and family. If you cannot physically go to them, do a Zoom call, do a Google Meet, do whatever FaceTime you have to do for them to read. It's story time with Auntie Jess every 2 Thursdays, second Thursday of the month. It is a K-pop time with Auntie Kelly every 4th month. These are things I have not put in order, so I am using the names of people I actually know as I'm thinking about what the kids would love and what the person would love probably to do with them. So I need to do this myself, but pull them in. I think that would be such a fun way and a great way for kids to feel so completely surrounded by love and just comfortable in their skin and their spirit, to know that they have such a huge team of humans behind them. So consider that. And that also makes you feel more comfortable in knowing that the people around you got your babies. My 5th and final is the most important one, because a lot of times as parents, we think we just know everything, and we absolutely do not. I am the first to say that, admit it, know it, wear it as a t-shirt and wear it as a hat. You need a place to go when you are like, I am at my limit with the noise, I'm at my limit with repeating myself, you should have this anyway outside of homeschooling, but it happens. Like, there are certain subjects that are going to be more difficult for your student. There are certain subjects where they're not going to want to put forth more effort, or certain days where they just have an off day. There are going to be times you have an off day and they're going to see it. Like, know that you both are human, know that you both have limits, know that not every day you're going to have enough spoons, as my friend would say, in your hand to use and give out and distribute for energy. Some days you're going to wake up with 2 spoons because the last 3 nights you've been staying up late to do work. Or you may wake up with a plethora of 10. Great, but your son might have 2, or your daughter might have 4. Be aware of people's energy batteries. And be okay with that. Have a place and set it up and have the conversation with your students, with your babies, with your kids. Hey, when we are getting to a limit where we find ourselves frustrated, we find ourselves crying with the work, we find ourselves upset, where's the place you can go? When you get to that place, you've got to tell them what they have to do. You have to walk them through it 5, 6, 7 times every time they go to that area. You cannot just send them and expect them to have the emotional intelligence to sit, to think about it, to calm themselves down, to regulate their emotions, and then to come back. That is not age appropriate, even for teenagers. If that is something you want me to talk about, you can also go to this, my other page, where I specifically talk about, or even on my TikTok, I talk about emotional regulations for teenagers. And teenagers have a hard time with it. Kids have a hard time with it. So we can't expect them to go to this calming spot and then just sit and know what that means, or to know to go through the steps that they learned 2 weeks ago. Hold their hand, help them through it, walk them through it, talk them through it, do the exercise, have the question said, and then get them up and then come back. Have that spot for them, but have it for you. You can get burned out. You can slip up and say stuff and get angry, and we don't want that. We don't want school to be a moment of stress for mom and dad. We don't want homeschooling or unschooling to be a place of, oh goodness, every time we get ready to do this, she or he is always getting irritated and upset with me and has no patience for me. not doing that. Find your spot, find what you need to do to make sure you're in check with your emotional intelligence and your emotional regulation. If you are not and you need support in that, I have resources at my website. I'll put the link below if you need support with a therapist, if you want to talk to a counselor about learning how to do that as an adult, because we weren't all raised to learn how to do that. Our parents didn't teach it, and society definitely does not teach us how to regulate our emotions or to have emotional intelligence, and that is something you build. That is a muscle. It is not something you learn overnight and you just have it. So if that is something you're struggling with, please let me know. Please use my resources on my website and whatever else there you see that might be beneficial to you as a parent, as a homeschooling parent or an unschooling parent. I'm here to support you guys. Have patience for yourself. You're learning too. And I always say this, parents, be transparent with your child. I said this so many times with Eden. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm learning with you. This is new for mommy. This is new for you. It might be a little bumpy, but let's be patient with each other. I'm not going to be perfect, but you know what? We're going to figure this out. And when you have hard days, you tell me when you have hard days. And I'm going to tell you when I have hard days, because you know what? They need to learn to have communication. They need to learn that they don't have to hide being imperfect and being human and those human traits that make us human. And doing that as an adult is it's a door. It's a continuous door you're allowing to be open for your child, to who then becomes a preteen, to a teen, to an adult, who will always come back to you and be like, you've always been open with me. You've been honest with me. You've allowed me to be honest with you, and have healthy relationships with them. So practice that in your homeschooling, unschooling, so that one day when the door really does need to be open and they really do need to talk to you about something, they already know you're the first person they know they can absolutely go to. If you need more support with that, I talk about that also at my other page, so go check that out. But those are my 5 tips. I hope those help you. List below, how long have you been homeschooling or unschooling, and what is a tip that you could not survive without and that you think other parents should absolutely have in their tool belt of homeschooling and unschooling. I appreciate you guys as always. If you have any questions for me, put them below. If you found this video super helpful, please put a wink emoji below, and share your thoughts. I'd love to hear them, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.